What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again, and today, people, today, we have some Destiny thoughts, some thoughts about the raid, some thoughts about Penumbra, some thoughts about the season of Opulence, but mostly the raid. So in this Week at Bungie, we got some more clarification on the new raid, Crown of Sorrow, and the race to Worlds First. Something I don't particularly get the big deal about. Don't get me wrong, I understand enjoying it, being a part of it, spectating it. I understand enjoying it from the person in the benches side of the equation. That said, I have a nagging feeling in the back of my mind that Season of Opulence really won't start until the raid's beaten. The closest thing that we've seen to this is the Curse of the Dreaming City activating after the last wish was completed, but even then you had all of Forsaken that you could still play, until the last wish was beaten. The raid here seems to be the keystone piece of content for this release, as they've not talked about anything other than the raid, which is really kind of odd because they don't talk about the raid this much until the raid's released, making it seem like the raid is really the only piece of content in this DLC. Now we have a roadmap, so we know that's not technically true, but then again, look at Season of the Drifter, look at Season of the Forge. While there was some new content like the Outbreak Prime quest, there wasn't a lot of it. A lot of it was recycled content. And that seems to be the way Season of Opulence is teeing up as well. For example, the way that they're normalizing power levels throughout the raid. Basically, for the first 24 hours of the raid, they have a system in place called Contest. Bungie says, while Contest is active, players will face an enforced challenge throughout the raid. This means power beyond certain levels will provide no advantage for a given fight, e.g., for the first fight, all power above 700 won't provide an advantage, and for the final fight, power above 720 will not provide an advantage. The idea is that any level advantage will be removed, so grinding up past 720 really doesn't matter. And on the first day, with a little bit of luck, 720 doesn't seem that impossible, even if it is just on one character. And technically speaking, you don't even need to be 720 for the final raid encounter, just 716, because 716 and 720 are in the same power delta. And for those of you wanting to level up the quickest, most efficient way possible, I'll leave a spreadsheet by a Twitch streamer named Sweat Circle, I don't fucking know, in the description below for anybody who wants that. So, my thoughts. All in all, I think that this challenge mode is a good change. If we're just looking at it in a vacuum, and this is the way that they're going to approach all raids from now on, fine, fair enough. However, wasn't this what normal mode was? I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought the max power level for this DLC was going to be 750. So having the raid cap out at 720 isn't really the challenge mode, it's the normal mode. Yes, I understand that you can't go through and pulverize it if you're higher than 720, but even still, back in the day with Destiny 1 Year 1 and Year 2, you could only level up if you played the raid and got the materials to level up your gear. So this is kind of a throwback to that in a lot of ways. And I, for one, especially after playing 0 Hour, really do miss the differences between the hard mode and the normal mode of different activities such as raids. All of that said, however, this is only for 24 hours. And it's here simply to keep the sanctity, air quote, of the world's first raid endeavors, even though you have players on PC and console, and PC just has so many different advantages over console, so it is what it is. So I do think it is kind of a shame that this isn't a normal hard mode split like we've traditionally had, but I do understand why they would want to keep the world's first on an even playing field, because that has been a complaint. That's why people want the raid pushed out to 2 weeks after a content release, instead of the weekend of, or the week of, or the day of. That said, even with this system in place, I still don't like the fact that the raid is the day of. I mean, honestly, you're gonna have two types of people, the people who can do the raid, and the people who can't. And outside of the mandatory Power Surge quest, which may be recycled content, what is there for people who can't do the raid day one? For this content that they bought. And even people who are raiding day one, they're gonna spend the bulk of their time replaying old content just so they can play new content. Bungie really needs to detail whether or not there's going to be some other form of content that people can engage with other than the raid and this mandatory Power Surge quest which you do to play the raid. And if the new Power Surge quest is just like the old Power Surge quest, then it's really just more recycled content. So what's the bulk of the community supposed to be doing after this content releases? Just wait for somebody to beat the raid? I really hope there's more to this than what we know, and Bungie needs to be really clear about it really soon. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. And like always, stay frosty.
I thought they'd never leave.
Guardian
You
down.
and I are not done. We're inseparable now. Through your actions, we forged an age-old bond between my kind and yours. One wish granted deserves another. And I cannot wait to show you what she asked for. Oh, murderer mine.